It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
All right, welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined in studio by our very good friend, E.J. Host.
Good
EJ,
morning.
Our
so
newest
glad
All-Star
to be here.
panelist. We've got some breaking news. Would you like to hear it?
Bring it on.
From Just the News, breaking. Mershon cancels Trump sentencing hearing without explanation in New York hush money case. So there we go. I'll just read this to you. Judge Juan Mershon is still considering how to proceed with sentencing, given that Trump is now president-elect. And Donald Trump's sentencing schedule for November 26 has been adjourned with no explanation by the judge in his New York hush money case. Mershon is still considering how to proceed with sentencing, given that Trump is now president-elect, preparing to take office. The sentencing had already faced a delay from the judge. The move, reported by Bloomberg, came the same day. Manhattan prosecutors under District Attorney Alvin Bragg are set to tell Mershon whether they believe the case should move to sentencing, considering Trump's new status. What do you make of that?
So many interesting points there. First, why are the lawyers involved trying to tell the judge what to do? They already had their case. They already had the trial, the whole bit. So that's a little bit awkward. What do they think that what kind of right do they think they have to make a big public statement like that? The other thing I will say is I bet they are scrambling because it's abundantly clear that this was just nothing more than election interference. And so what do you do with that now? You know, the Judge Mershon is in a really tight pickle. I'm not sure he knows what to do with it at this point.
So there's like no answer. We're punting. I mean,
Again.
It's pathetic.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. If the case were valid, if they were truly scared that this guy was, breaking the law, they would put him in jail. But,
I don't think they're really truly scared about it.
No.
At all.
Of course not.
Are
Well,
they?
because the whole thing was bogus, and everyone knows it.
Speaking of bogus, Joe and Mika.
Oh my goodness.
Morning, Joe.
My favorite couple to hate. Yes.
They totally lack self-awareness, don't they?
They're completely lost, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it. I like to watch other news sources, right? So I steer from my conservative news sources just so I can see what their reactions are like.
Do we have that clip? Okay, so this was from yesterday morning. We played it yesterday, but it's got some reverberations going on.
Sure.
We'll play this. It was early 6 a.m. yesterday morning.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, Why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has
they're
deeply
awful, aren't
divided
they?
Washington and the country. We have been as
I mean,
Okay,
Painful.
we just can't take any more of it.
It's painful to listen to.
Weren't they just calling Trump Hitler for 7 years?
Right. Over and over again. So I heard that they actually called the Trump people and begged to come and see him.
Oh, no. It's not heard. President Trump explained.
Excellent.
Joe called me up.
Good. Good. I'm
And
glad that's out in the
Joe
public.
called me up, and he didn't say, he begged to get a conference with me, a meeting. But basically, he begged to get a meeting.
Yeah.
Pretty please, Mr. President.
I mean, listen, Trump is a stronger man than me, because I probably would have had a more Elon Musk response. If you remember what Elon Musk said to Iger, go finish the sentence yourself. So there's that. But I do think what's being missed in all of this, you know, I watched MSNBC and their reaction to it. And of course, Joe and Mika were on saying, oh, we got, calls from people all over the world saying that they were glad we did this and it's opening up the doors to communication. Nonsense. They saw their ratings. They know that MSNBC is failing. They know that they won't have any ground to stand on. And if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is able to get no more pharma ads, MSNBC will fall apart. They will have no revenue. They'll have no ratings. They'll have no viewers. They're already struggling for viewers. And that kind of era of media hate is over. People want to go watch the really fun side of things. I expect Fox News to do better. I expect some of these other really great Real America's Voice, Just the News, all these other outlets that have good content to offer will start to gain steam, because even CNN is struggling. But Joe and Mika are the perfect explanation of hypocrisy. They are just the perfect example of not knowing what to do with themselves, because they really and truly expected Trump to lose, and they thought they had it in the bag.
You know who else expected him to lose? Merrick Garland.
Yeah, for sure.
There were tears at the Department of Justice. Oh, now we're going to have to go, and we're going to have to get our own attorneys to represent us.
Right.
Oh,
what a shame. What a shame.
As Stephen K. Bannon said, the hunted, the hunters have become the hunted.
That's exactly right. And
Boom.
They are scared. They
Yeah.
are scared. So, yeah, that's a great line. I think, if we can get them to show up to work 5 days a week, that would be awesome. There's so many good things coming anyone who self-imposed being on that and quote unquote enemies list that they're so scared of, they put themselves there. There wasn't something where Trump was like, these are the people I'm going after, until they attacked him.
Boom.
So
Attack. And also, MSNBC's ratings are crashing.
yeah, they're
Right?
terrible.
And for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're dispirited because Trump won.
Of course.
Number two, they're looking at MSNBC and they're saying, well, obviously you guys lied to
Yeah,
us.
there's no trust there.
You guys said, Kamala was going to win, and she got her, what kicked.
Right.
And then, in addition to that, now they're changing their tune, and they've lost credibility. So,
Right. No credibility, no trust. Their audience was looking to, I think there's a couple holdouts. Joy Reid, Jen Psaki is another one who just is like, well, what we really need to do is message better on the transgender issues. No, dear. You lost on that issue and many
message
more.
better on transgenders.
Yeah.
Let's
No.
not have any transgender stuff.
Listen, she needs to take a lesson from Joe and Mika and maybe try and repair the relationship so that they can have some access.
Good idea. All right, we'll have more when we get back with E.J. Host. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, EJ Haast. EJ, a great day here at World Headquarters. Some breaking news. I want to get your reaction to it. We've got a story about the Secretary of Commerce. Apparently, Just the News is reporting that Howard Lutnick is going to be named Secretary of Commerce.
Which we had thought when we were playing our bingo game a little over a week ago, that perhaps a treasury position for him. So interesting.
So Game of Thrones is going on here. And there's all sorts of back and forth on this thing. And it's a little bit like first buddy, Elon Musk, overstepped his bounds a bit.
You think so?
Well, who is the person that's going to pick his cabinet? His name is Donald J. Trump. It's not Elon Musk.
That's right.
Although I think arguably you could say Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. played a significant role.
I feel like it's been a team effort.
Yeah, but they were very important in the victory. Okay, so we've got a very interesting situation here now where, Secretary of Treasury, if you look at the great cabinet, the most important cabinet departments, I would say it's State, Secretary of State, Attorney General, and Secretary of Treasury. Those would be, and four, and defense.
I was just going to say defense, yeah.
Those are the four big ones. We've got Rubio at State.
Yep.
We got Hegseth at Defense. We got Matt Gaetz. Watch out.
AG.
For AG. Secretary of Treasury is open.
Yep.
Commerce, let me just say this. If the president were to come to me and say, I'm going to nominate you as Secretary of Commerce, I would smile like this and I'd say, oh, thank you, Mr. President. I'm happy to serve.
Right.
What does a Secretary of Commerce do?
Unless Lutnick wanted something that was a little less, I don't want to say scrutinized, but like maybe under the microscope.
No.
No?
No. Lutnick, of course, is buddies with Elon.
Yeah.
Lutnick, he's the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald.
Right.
Right, which was legendary for its involvement in 9/11. They lost, like, 500 of the,
it was a lot.
Like 700 of their 1,000
Yeah.
employees died that day. Something
That's right.
like huge number. And Lutnick rebuilt Cantor Fitzgerald. They're kind of I'm told, according to Steve Bannon, who knows this stuff, they're sort of a B-level trader. But okay, these are a very successful guy. Big loyalist for Donald Trump. He's been in charge of the transition team. Now, that reminds me, back in 2000.
Okay.
The campaign of 2000, when George W. Bush brought somebody in to head up the vice presidential selection team. Do you know he had it? Dick Cheney.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, Dick Cheney became the vice presidential nominee.
Huh.
How about that? So here's Lutnick coming in, who's been very loyal to the president. And, he's been very loyal to the president. And in essence, what he says is, basically that this situation here requires me to be the Secretary of Treasury, right? Lutnick says that. Now, you don't have the transition team, but it gets worse. So Elon Musk goes public and says, well, it could be Scott Bessent,
right?
Who's Stephen K. Bannon's buddy, who's been on our show, very smart guy. Got to start with George Soros. That's not a plus.
Right.
He's got an explanation for that. But I think in this instance, we've got, in this particular instance, we've got a fight going on. And if you're going to have a fight for a cabinet position, don't do it in public.
Right.
And who went public?
Elon did.
Elon. No. You're worth like X. You're one of the richest guys in the world. And you can bring rockets down and you can build electric cars. But if you're serving the president-elect, you do not take a fight for a nomination public.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that was just naivete as far as, politicking goes. But I also think, Trump's not going to let that stand. I don't think he cares how much money Elon has. He's still the president-elect.
Yeah.
But we also haven't seen that Lutnick position posted on, or the nomination rather, posted on Truth Social.
See, this is where you get to the facts, right? So, the way these things have worked out.
Yep.
And almost every time it's happened.
Yep.
So let me just say, if they leak it, if it's reported at Just the News.
Yeah, most likely it's coming through.
John Solomon, my friend, who's been on this program many a time, has a close line of communication with President Trump.
Sure.
Let's say, that phone can ring, boom,
and
at any time.
He'll pick it up. He knows to pick it up, right?
And he knows, and he's got the number.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it appears in Just the News, it's likely going to be announced sometime today. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that they're going to take a little breath. They're not going to appoint Treasury today. Why? They don't want to embarrass Lutnick.
Sure.
Because he got Commerce, which is like,
Wah, wah.
wah, wah. I tell you the truth, in this scheme of things, Commerce, to me, I think transportation, interior, or energy are more important than commerce. Commerce used to matter. You remember who the big superstar of the Secretary of Commerce was Herbert Hoover. And this was back in the era when corporations were starting to be big. Herbert Hoover was the superstar Secretary of Commerce under Warren G. Harding in 1921, 1929, and Calvin Coolidge, and everybody loved him because he was the guy who got things done. He worked on World War I. He got relief done, and he just knew how to get things done.
Sure.
Well, let me just say, the shine on the Secretary of Commerce position went off it just as the presidential career of Herbert Hoover went down the drain during the Depression.
Sure.
And the Secretary of Commerce spot has never recovered. Can you name a Secretary of Commerce?
No.
The guy who was a Secretary of Commerce during the first Trump administration was some sleepy old guy. I even forget what his name is. Wilbur somebody. Okay, but it's like,
I don't think most people could name the current Secretary of Commerce. I literally had to look it up because I was
Raimundo.
like, isn't that
it's Raimundo?
That woman. Yeah,
that woman from Rhode Island.
Yes,
who's a complete moron.
Well, obviously quite useless. We don't know who she is or what she does, right? I had to look it up when we were talking about
Raimundo.
Yeah.
So Lutnick's going to be Secretary of Commerce, if these reports are correct, which I believe they are. And then we've got, in addition to that, we've got Treasury. He's not going to announce it today because it would embarrass Lutnick.
Right. And that's fair. That's the right thing to do.
Now, the contenders are Scott Bessent. Now, I like Scott. He's a big thinker. And the whole George Soros thing, if you're going to be a hedge fund guy, you get your start with Soros.
Hey, listen, a lot of us were Democrats in college, right?
They haven't started in a long time. He's got a good long-term view. However, there is a dark horse who's actually pretty well respected, Lawrence Kudlow. Lawrence Kudlow.
We didn't mention him when we talked about this before.
Well, that's because of this big public tiff going on that Elon Musk created. And this is a signal. Donald Trump is telling Elon and Lutnick, I'm the boss.
Yep.
You're not.
That's right.
And Elon, buddy, you would have been smart to say nothing because your guy would have had better. You forced the president. And look, I love Elon, right? Thank you for helping save the country. But even some of your best friends make mistakes every now and then.
That's right. And I do think it was a mistake. I don't think it was an attempt to kind of thwart what's happening there. I do think
I don't know if it was.
I think he's naive when it comes to some of the politicking.
He is a little bit of an oddball, but autistic. He's a highly focused guy.
Yes.
I mean, I love that about him, right?
Yep.
Anybody who lands a booster rocket the way he did, and then the very next day says, "Oh, we got to win Pennsylvania," and goes to Pennsylvania and announces this $1 million thing.
Right.
You got to admire that.
Right. And he saved Twitter.
On to the next.
And that
so I love him.
Had a huge role in
on to the next.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see the Secretary of Treasury appointment today.
No, I don't think so either.
More when we get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, all-star panelist, good friend, E.J. Haast.
My favorite place to be on a Tuesday.
We may be seeing more of you here.
I hope so.
During, we have the official guest host, Aaron Gulbranson, but, we're probably going to have you guest host here in a couple days.
I would love that.
Yeah?
I would love that.
Be great.
Yeah, introduce myself to the audience in a more intimate way. Sounds
there you go.
Terrific.
There you go. Okay, here's the theme for this segment. The hunters have become the hunted.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is like, you think about this, and I look at the country, at the United States. God has a plan. I think. This is my view on it.
Sure.
And the whole arc of Donald Trump's political career, to me, is providential. And I'll tell you why. So his election in 2016, it was just like, just a perfect storm of getting him in. But he had the deep state against him. And from the beginning, they were trying to thwart him. And we were trying to restore constitutional conservatism. And they were undercutting it. So then they steal the election, asterisk, in 2020. But the more we see what they're doing in Pennsylvania now, clearly that's their pattern. They were stealing the election. And we had 4 miserable years. And we still have like 61 miserable days left with this guy who's trying to start World War III. But if Donald Trump had won and served a second consecutive term, his second term would have been filled with misery.
I agree.
How many times would they have impeached him?
Oh, countless.
Yeah, innumerable times, number one. And they would have thwarted him. And the likely Republican nominee in 2024, wait, don't throw up, would have been Mike the Weasel Pence. All right?
For those watching on YouTube, I just
it's like
in my mouth a little bit.
We're just like, it's hard, not as awful as that guy is. So this would not have helped the country. But what's happened here now with Donald Trump, and look, we've got to salute Stephen K. Bannon.
Oh, big time.
Stephen K. Bannon.
Big time.
From the beginning has never wavered. The election was stolen. Trump's going to win. Even with the 2022 midterms that were so weak.
Yep.
Right? That the red wave was like a pink drizzle. Right? But, he was steadfast. And then, so he, wins primaries. And then he has this Butler, Pennsylvania incident. You can't say that it wasn't providential that he turned his head at the last second and didn't get killed.
100%. I'm in agreement with you there. And there were so many other forces at play also that I truly believe God lined up for him. So, and for us, it's not about one man or having kind of a king-like figure. That's not what this is. It's for all of us. It's for, quite honestly, all of humanity. Let's not forget, too, that it was, when we say deep state, it was the Obama holdovers. And they had to be in that Biden administration and lose and infight and have all of their issues so that it would open the door to another Trump presidency. There's so many other variables that we forget to talk about. One of the most important ones is work that began years ago Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point.
Yeah.
Going out and speaking to young people about how great America is, making it cool to be ethical and moral and fiscally responsible and just common sense. He went to them where they are and got them excited about the country they live in. And that work had been being done during the Biden presidency. So I think you're absolutely right. Like all of those variables and countless more that we could mention if we had 3 more hours to sit here and talk about it. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that we had to lose in 2020, quote unquote lose. It had to be stolen so that it could revitalize this America First agenda for 2024.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we had to. We did.
Yeah.
And it opened this up. And look, and so then why do we have a huge, huge mandate for Donald Trump? They try and kill him. And at the last minute, he turns, and the bullet misses him by inches, less than an inch.
Right.
And then we get Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Dropping out, endorsing him. Then we get Elon Musk, all in. Then we get Tulsi Gabbard, all in.
Well, and don't forget at least 1, probably 2 more attempts on his life.
Yeah.
And I think people have just, they had enough. They saw this
They
for
have had
what
enough.
it is. You know?
Yeah, they've had enough. And so what we've got going on right now is Trump ascendant, America ascendant. The hunted have become the hunters. And really our very good friend, Julie Kelly, has been documenting the persecution of J6
She's been so
peaceful
good
protesters.
on the J6
Look,
stuff.
our buddy Stuart Parks, who we know very well, a good guy, was unjustly imprisoned, served 5.5 months in a medium level federal correction institute in Memphis. My good friend Stephen K. Bannon, 4 months in a federal penitentiary in Danbury, Connecticut, for contempt of Congress. Merrick Garland has committed contempt of Congress.
Sure did.
Eric Holder has committed. None of them have been prosecuted. Well, guess what? Turnabout's fair play. Here we go, Julie Kelly. Gonna love this. Clip 4.
He has to bounce. Julie, they, when we were attacked so viciously, many of us went to prison. Some were bankrupted. People ran up massive bills, had their lives disrupted. There's 1,000 of the J6ers in jail, I think. They came, you got the right to lifers there in prison. The school moms at the school boards, just across the board. When they had control of state power, they were as arrogant as you could get. I never heard one time any member of the MAGA movement, President Trump or anybody, ever said, well, I'm going to leave the country. We are Americans. We believe in this republic. We will fight for this republic, even if it means going to jail or going to prison or being bankrupt. We will never stop. These whining libs, all they're talking about is getting passports, go bags. I mean, to see them up on these shows every night whining. Hey, if you didn't do anything wrong, not to worry. The reason they're sweating, they know the crimes they have committed, and they're going to be held accountable and brought to justice. Julie Kelly, you're working on this nonstop. Your work over the last 4 years, quite frankly, is going to be lays the predicate for many of these investigations. Can you tell us what you're working on and when do you think you're going to publish it and come back on the War Room as you've done for the last, 4 years?
Yes. Well, Steve, again, thank you for covering my work when very few outlets would do that. But I want to tee up what you just talked about. I sat in those courtrooms for the last few years and I watched these smug prosecutors, these asympathetic, I've called them sadistic line prosecutors. You don't know their names, but I do. And I've watched how they were gratified by destroying the lives of people who they know committed no crime, who had no criminal record, and more importantly, Steve, who had no means to fight this DOJ and government. And they would sit there smugly knowing that these people, whether it was a veteran, whether it was a police officer, whether it was a grandma from Florida, they knew they were sending that American to the wolves before DC juries or these reckless, lawless DC judges. And I would walk out of those courtrooms and I would say to myself, those degenerates are not going to win. They are not going to prevail. This is not the country and the system my ancestors fought for. And I'll be damned if these prosecutors, and I'm not going to name names now, but I will, and I already am to other people, they are not going to do this to this country and to these Americans. So I feel...
So let's kind of continue on this. So let's talk about these Weasley, amoral, vindictive, dishonest people that put honest Americans in prison. Let's talk about Stuart Parks. Yeah, you met Stuart. Stuart is a fantastic person.
Yep.
Honest, strong. He never committed a crime in his life.
Right.
Right? 20 minutes in the Capitol, when they said leave, he left. And this vindictive judge, Amit Mehta, on a bench trial, basically told him, you're scum.
Yeah.
And you're going to prison as long as I can put you in. And then Matthew Graves, the assistant U.S. attorney, and all of his, goombas who are out there, basically, they're laughing at Stewart. They're laughing at him. We're going to put you in prison. Ha, ha, ha.
Like she said, smug.
It is absolutely disgraceful. And look, the judge, this Amit Mehta guy, he's got immunity, but I don't think Matthew Graves, the assistant, the U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia, has immunity. And look, it's time to go after him.
I agree.
Come on.
I agree. Political persecution has no place in America. I think everybody can agree on that. Julie Kelly tweeted out, which I just loved, I want to expand a bit on what I discussed with Steve tonight. She said, the DOJ tormentors have become the tormented. And I love that. And I don't feel sorry for them. In fact, I think they deserve every bit of torment that they get. I hope they are humiliated. I hope their families are angry with them.
And they're imprisoned.
For what they have done, they deserve it.
Abuse, obstruction of justice.
Agreed.
And abuse of authority.
Yes. And quite honestly, I hope that they get fair treatment when they are taken to task, because that's what I would want for any American. But fair treatment of them does involve prison time, in my opinion. So that's,
I agree.
I want them to have a fair trial.
Have a fair trial. Which, by the way, Peter Navarro didn't get, Stephen K. Bannon didn't get. The judges wouldn't even allow his defense.
Nope.
Right?
Yeah.
And then our friend Steve Baker, right? From
Blaze, wasn't
from
he
the
Blaze?
Who was in here, had my back.
Yeah.
When a judge was trying to throw me in jail here on contempt of court for, literally, if you excuse the pun, trumped up charges, right? But, okay, so turnabout's fair play. Charges should be brought against this abuse of power.
Right.
There should be a jury impaneled. And if they are convicted, which I believe they will be.
I think many of them will be, yes.
I'm talking about you, U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves. I'm talking about you, Attorney General Merrick Garland.
Yes.
Welcome to the Gray Bar Hotel, guys.
Right. And I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
I don't feel bad for them.
All right,
one
we'll have more when we
lick.
get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Michael Patrick Leahy here in studio. Also our panelist, E.J. Host. E.J., the transgender issue is everywhere. Now it's in the Capitol.
Yep.
We have a clip you want to talk about here, don't we?
I do. So I wanted to get your take on this. I'm a little fascinated with it because people are still making such a big deal out of this. But I have a thought that I think folks aren't really saying on the Hill yet. So if we can play that clip and then get your reaction.
Here we go.
Mr. Speaker, is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman?
Look, I'm not going to get into this. We welcome all new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with dignity and respect, and we will. And I'm not going to engage in silly debates about this. There's a concern about the uses of restroom facilities and locker rooms and all that. This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before, and we're going to do that in deliberate fashion with member consensus on it, and we will accommodate the needs of every single person. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yes, sir.
Okay, so like this is a transgendered person was elected to Congress. Was it
Sarah
from Massachusetts?
McBride.
Well, from where? Where's this person from?
Tim McBride. It's one of those blue states up in New England somewhere.
So is it Tim has become a girl?
Correct.
Okay.
Tim presents as a female.
Okay, so like is all the biological male equipment still there? Do we know?
We don't know for sure, but that is the report.
The report is certain things have been chopped off? Is that...
No, the report is that he presents as Sarah.
So he presents as Sarah, meaning something has not yet been chopped off.
That is my understanding. Regardless, I don't care.
I can't believe we're talking about this.
It's unbelievable. So here's my take that I think is being lost in all of this. So Representative Nancy Mace is introducing a bill that is going to disallow anyone with male parts in a female bathroom.
Are they going to do an inspection? Or
you know what? Let's not even go there. But it's not just about the bathrooms. Remember, in that clip, he said locker rooms. They do have facilities that are gender specific.
They've got like a gym down there.
They do, yep.
And they've probably got a men's changing room and a girls' changing room.
Exactly right. So we're always talking about these transgender or transdresser or presenting female people, and we're worried about their feelings. I'm glad to see that we're actually worrying about real women's feelings for a change. I think Riley Gaines did a great job during the campaign of addressing that issue in college campuses and in sports. Now we need to do the same thing in Congress. And I don't worry much about this one particular congressman, whatever you want to call him, McBride. What I worry more about is all of the restrooms in the Capitol and the radical activists who will go in there and make a scene just for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've got this transgender person who is carrying male parts but wants to go into the women's restroom, what do we do about all of the radical activists that are going to want to make a big deal out of it? Because don't you think that will happen?
And who cares? I mean, look.
I would if I'm female and or if I'm there on a school trip and I've got my kids with me and my daughter wants to go into the restroom and in there is a male.
So Nancy Mace is basically saying, if you've got male parts, you just go to the male restroom.
Correct.
Okay, I think
radical idea, right?
I think this has got to happen. And yeah, okay, there'll be protests about it, but okay.
Right.
I mean, are you going to make the capital of the United States an unsafe place for kids to come in on tours and things like that?
That's my concern about it. I think all the adults in the room can kind of handle it, and they would probably just ignore this McBride person and not a big deal. But I do think that there's another element of this.
The McBride person, look, that may be one person, but how many weirdo predator types? I mean, look, you see all the reports about the transgender males who identify as women that go to women's prison and they still got their equipment.
Yep.
And they're raping, their prisoners.
Right. Or just having relationships and impregnating them. It's happening.
It's like,
and then, but
it's nutty, beyond nutty.
I think the left is going to make a big deal and try and make it about this one person, and it's bullying one person and all of this nonsense. There will be staffers, there will be visitors, there will be lobbyists. Think about all of the other people that are going to come into the Capitol and try and use those facilities just to make a point. And so I agree with you. I think Nancy Mace is onto something, and I think we should do something about it. Put it in writing.
Well,
does that make me crazy? Does that make me a radical?
So we'll get at least one Democrat to vote for it.
Oh, of course.
Seth Moulton.
And McBride. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
McBride will it'll be the big deal.
Yeah.
These are stupid things.
Yeah.
And look, here's the thing. Pre-election of Donald Trump 2 weeks ago, it would have been the big deal.
Right.
I don't think so. I think now people are so sick and tired of all this junk.
Yeah.
They're going to say, no, we're not going to do it. Look, here's what will happen. This bill will go nowhere in this Congress. It'll pass the House. It'll be a party line vote, except for one or two Democrats will vote it. And it will not pass in the Senate.
I doubt they'll bring it up even in the Senate.
Well, I don't know. They're looking at everything they possibly can do to embarrass Donald Trump, and they might think it. They didn't get the message. They did not get the message, right? What is the message? We're sick and tired of all this junk.
Sure.
But they're still playing that. They're still playing their greatest hits.
Yeah.
They don't realize that they're past their sell-by date.
Yeah, and I think there's plenty of Republicans that are also in that same camp, the anti-Trumpers, right? You've got your Romneys, Murkowskis, and all the regular rhinos that'll rear their ugly heads.
I know this is so sad. Romney is going to be gone. Gone.
Thank goodness for that.
After Christmas, when they recess,
yep,
he's gone. He's back to. And by the way, when you lose a campaign for presidency, you turn into a crazy person.
Almost all of them do,
except for Bob Dole, but he had other qualities back in '96. But all of them else just go crazy. And on that note, EJ, it's been an eventful morning.
It's been a lot.
More to come. You'll be back with us Friday at 9 a.m.
Friday at 9.
Up next in the Tennessee Bonus Hour, it'll be our good friend Clint Brewer. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Right back after this.